Hello everyone, today we'll be building React Finances application that will help us to track our finances. To do that, we'll be using React and some CSS to style it to look better. Okay, how application will look like? It will be a very simple budget tracker application where we can write, for example, job. We can write down our income and add to that, and it will add to our income. Also, we can, for example, waste our money for food like 350 expense, and as you can see our balance is like that. And how we can do that? We need to first of all create the folder, then inside the folder run the command npx create react app, and that after that, because that means that inside our folder will be create the React application. And if you press enter, you will have to wait something about 1 minute to 3 minutes, and application will run and something like that will appear on your IDE. Okay, so first of all, if you're not using React before, it can be a little tricky, complicated, but if you're using React before, it will be very easy to create such an application. So first of all, we need to make some cleanup. To make that, we don't need logo SOG, so we need to move to trash, report also, setup test also, update test also, and to be honest, that's all that we need to delete right now. Also, we need to clear index.js from that lines and that one, and also inside our app.js we need to delete that one. Of course, we have to save it and clear it as it was, as it is, to that way. Okay, save it, and we are ready to go to create our application. First of all, we need to using we need to setting states, so we need to assign the values to our variables that we'll create later on. So React allow us to use state, so each if state changes, the value of the current variable will change as well. So to do that, we need to import from React use state, and that's all. And with that in mind, we can start and create our application. Of course, we'll split it to some components, but it will be later on. First of all, we need to create first constants. So it will be using state, and it will be setting the transactions that we already did in our application. So transactions and set transactions, and it equals use state and empty array. Also, we need to return something right there. So we inside our div that we created, we'll call it budget tracker, and we'll need some kind of components that we'll later on use. So for example, form, it will be self-closing. We need to change it. Okay. The next thing is list, and the last one is summary. That will allow us to make summary of our income and expenses that we'll create. Also, we will style right now our application, so we'll be using some styles that will create inside our components. So add that style equal, we'll just create display flex. Also, we'll need flex direction, the direction column. The next thing, align items, we'll center it. Also justify content, so we'll make space around all of them. that will be not one after another. Height, it will be like 100 viewport height. And also background, it will be our color. As you can see, we'll be using some kind of gray one. It F0, 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 and the last one, color of our font, it will be free. Okay, and we created our style that we are using inside our application. The next thing that we'll have to do is to create our form components, list component, and summary component. But how we'll handle it, what we'll be sending, if we will be sending something from our app, yes, we will be to list, we will send our transactions, and also to summary, we'll also set our transactions. So transactions equals transactions, and right there, transactions equals transactions. And right now we are sending our transactions to the list and summary. To our form, we need some kind of function that will allow to setting our constant, so our variable, and expand it to new income or expenses. So right now we need to add transaction, and it will be add transaction that will create right now. To create that, it will be very easy because we need to const add transaction, and new transaction will be passed as a value inside our transactions list. So set transactions, that's how we create setting our state to a new one. First of all, what we need to do is to duplicate our current transactions that we just got, and also new transaction will be the new transaction that we passed over here. Also, I see that we need to use it right there as a add transaction option. Okay, and we need to create some kind of variable over here also. It will be add transaction, new transaction. We need to clean it as it should be, because right now everything's work as it should. Okay, so going from the top, we'll need to create the form component. Now to do that, we'll create form.js to create our form component. And to make it happen, we'll need also the use state as before. So from React, we'll be using our state. And we'll create very easy component. So it will get the props, it was a transaction, and we will return something. And also the very important thing, we need to export default so we can import it, and we call it form. Okay, to make it happen, we need to save it also there, and we can start our journey. Okay, so our transaction will need to have some kind of description. So I mean, each of the transaction should have the value of the transaction, if it's expense or income, and the last thing is the amount description and the type of the transaction, so income, or if it is expense. It will allow us later on to create our list and summary and to view everything from one variable, one state. And right now we can create and start to write our states. So first of all, we'll write description, and it will be set description, and we'll be using state, and it will be empty value because it will be our description of our transaction. The next one will be amount, and we'll set amount, and we also use state for that amount as a number because amount is a number. Const type, and we'll set type, and for that one we will get as a value that will be setting as a default, and the income as a set the value that will be default. Okay, and right now we are inside our return, and right there we will have to create our form. And to make our form happen and to work as it should, we need to close it as well. Okay, and form, as each form, it will be very easy form. It will not pass the value for our backend, so we don't need right now the method, for example the post. The only thing that we need to create is on submit, and we'll call it handle submit as always it is. And also we'll create some style, and we'll call it form style because we are inside our form. Okay, the next thing that we'll need to create will be some inputs. And inside that input, we'll need the type. It will be type text because it will be string, so our description. The next thing will be value, and the value will be description. The next thing that we need is onChange, and onChange is the function that will be fire when we change the value of current input. So e, and it will be set description, sorry, the wrong brackets, curly one, e, set description as it said, and e target that value. We need e to get inside our target and the value, the current value that is over here. We can also create placeholder, description, and make it required because we need it to style it and to list it later on. And we'll also make some kind of input style to make it look much more better. We'll copy it. Okay. And the next thing will be type number. Also, it will be amount. Amount. And we not set description but set amount. Okay. The placeholder will be amount, and we need it required also, and that's all that we need inside our input. The last thing, as you can see, we've got type. It will be the type, so it will be selection tool, and we use select value equals type, and on change we'll set the current value of our selection tool. So on change e, and set the type of the e target value. We'll set it right away. And also the last thing, our lovely style, it will have also input style as well. Okay, we close it and we'll make some options. First option will be income. So we will create income, and the next option will be expense, and we'll call it expense also. And the last thing that we need to create inside our return in form.js is the button. So we will create the button over here that will be type submit. So whenever we'll click the button, the form will submit and check if the required options are right down wherever we need to. Okay, so right now we have to handle our handle submit and the functions. So const handle submit and e, because we need to get inside events, and prevent default, because we don't need the reload of our screen, so we have to prevent it from default. The next thing that we need to is a transaction that we just pass over here as the prop, and inside our prop we need to add the new description, also amount. We will need to make something with our amount, so we'll parse it to the float number, because as we know, we can add our numbers, for example, half and $5.50, and we make some kind of expense like $3.20, something like that, and that's why we need to make it float, not the whole number. So amount will be the amount of our transaction, and also the last one, the type, that's if it's income or expense. Set description, so we'll right now reset our description, I mean that one, and the last one will be set amount to 0, as it is right there and right there. Okay, then the last thing that we need to is to create some style. So form style, as we created first of all, it will be display flex. It will be very easy, flex direction, it will be column. The next thing, align items, it will be center, and the last thing it will be margin button, so it will be not be at the bottom, 20 pixel from the bottom. And also input style, will make it very simple because we are focusing on React application, and margin will be 10 pixels. Also padding will be 5 pixels, and the last one width will be 200 pixels. And we are ready to go with our form. And to make everything happen as it should, we need to import our form from our form. Okay, and we right now create the first one. The next thing is to create our list. Okay, and to create our list, we need to make a new component, and we'll call it list.js. The same thing right there. We don't need any states because we will be only viewing and showing the list of the income that's we currently created. So we will create only function list. We get transaction as props over here, and also we have to remember that we export default our list, and also we need to create a return, and inside that return we'll create unordered list. It will be styled, of course. We'll make very easy style. It will be some kind of list style, because as you know, unordered list is list, not list style. And we'll map through the transactions, so we'll create new elements, and we'll need transactions and also index, because we need to pass inside our React application the index as a key to make everything happen as it should inside the React. So key index, it will be our type key, and also it will have our style, and it's list item because it is list item style. Okay, and as a value we'll create transaction.description, and right there we need to change if transaction type equals income. If it is, we will have @, If not, we'll have minus. And of course, transaction dot amount. Okay, we need to make it change. And the last thing that we need to create inside our list is the style. So list style is equal list style type is none. We don't need any bullet points over here. And const list item style equals padding. It will be 10 pixels. And also border and bottom, it will be 1 pixel solid, and we'll make some kind of dot color. Of course, you can everywhere get React from React. That's up to you. You don't have to do that from sometimes, but if you are struggling with some problems, you can create the React as an import as well. But it's not necessary to make everything happen. So when we create our list, we go back to our app.js and import list from our list. Okay, and the last thing is summary. So we are creating our summary.js, and inside our summary, we'll just import our React. Okay, I don't get it. Import React from React, and we'll create our function summary that will get the props of transactions. Yep, it's transactions. It is transactions. Okay. And also we will return, and also we need to export default our summary. And we are starting to make our application happen. And to make it happen, to make it work, we'll need three things. First, we'll style it, and we'll call it summary, for example, style. And inside the style, we'll need three p tags. So first of all, we'll need total income, as we've got. It will be the income. The next thing, total expenses. It will be expenses. And the last thing that we'll need to is our balance, and it will be our balance. Of course, we'll write now style, const summary style equals, make also display flex, because we are loving flexbox, flex direction column, and align items, also center. We need also margin from top to 20 pixel. We also need some paddings. We'll make 10 pixel. We need border, and it will be 1 pixel solid as it was CCC, and border radius, it will be 10 pixels as well. Okay, and we create our income, and also we create our expenses. And right now we start the logic that we need. So we get the transactions, and first of all we have to make some operation on that array. That's why we are using array. So we are using array to filter the transactions. It will be the single one. That's why, because without s, and check if transaction type equals income, and if it is, we start to calculate. To calculate the array values, we are using reduce, and reduce needs two options that we have to pass. First is accumulate options, that is the previous value that is assigned right now, for example, we had 2 plus 2 equals 4, and that 4 will be as the and if we add 2 more, it will be 4 plus 2, and so on and so forth. So transaction, the single one, and of course accumulated value plus transaction that amount, and we'll start from 0. And the same thing we'll be using to our expenses, but we'll change income to expense, sorry, and we need to add the amount from the income from the expense to accumulated value of our expenses, and of course our balance, and we'll make income minus expenses. And the last thing that we need to do when we just got our balance, expenses, and income, we need to import summary from our summary. And right now npm start to check if everything's working inside our application, if we misspell something or make something work better. Okay, and we make transactions that map inside our list because we are passing transactions over here. Okay, we need to double check if our list get the proper prop. Okay, and going back to our application, we need to check all the misspell that we just created inside our filter. I also make some kind of misspelled, so we need to check it double. Okay, as you can see, and it should be working right now. So work give us, for example, $260, and we waste the money on food, for example, $41 as expense, and everything does not work because expenses does not work. That's correct. And we have to check if it's our form. Make some kind of misspell right there. Of course, I will have to misspell it. And right now everything's working as it should. I hope you like it, enjoy, and that's all for today's video. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave it in comments, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye.